Welcome to episode 12 of Chats. Today we have a spliced episode where we talk about an update on Harry and Meghan's situation and also about facial hair.
I don't know how that got pushed together.
No,
okay, sorry, go ahead.
We
Continue.
will stitch it together somehow.
Okay.
I'm Corvin.
I'm Sarah.
And this is episode 12. So if we flash back to episode 10, I believe, you would have our full episode discussion on practically the day of news that Harry and Meghan were in talks and were looking to, leave somewhat this is from a non-royal expert myself. I barely know anything, but from what I gathered, it's that they're somewhat leaving that royal life behind in search of something a little bit more to them.
Private.
A little more private and a little more maybe fulfilling to them, because there's lots of restrictions, I guess, with the royal family. So we talked about that in length. So if you haven't heard that one, go back to episode 10 and go back and listen to all of them if you haven't.
That's right.
But this episode, for the first part, we are going to be talking about the recent update, because there's been constant updates. The Queen released something since that episode, and then Harry released a little speech afterwards. So
I think what it was we did the recording like right before the meeting with Prince Charles, Prince William, Prince Harry, and the Queen herself.
Yes.
So yes, it
was very interesting. Lots of drama, and I saw some articles saying after the Queen's statement saying Meghan's signed a deal with Disney and all this. So there's a lot of news flying around, but the stuff that is concrete, that has come straight from the horse's mouth, essentially, is what we will be talking about today.
Yes.
So do you want to talk about what the Queen said first?
Sure. Like what she came out with after the meeting was pretty much what I thought would happen, which was she recognized the fact that there needed to be a change. It was worded in a way that we'd not seen before, in that it was very personal, very warm. Mm-hmm. She refers to, her grandson and my family, and she speaks in the first person throughout, which she's done before, but not in relating to her family. It's usually statements like, Buckingham Palace states, blah, blah, blah. So that was nice to see. And I think that's kind of, that conversation and that statement set the table for what was to come, which was the announcement days later, again, that Harry and Meghan appreciated the support or appreciated the opportunity and talking and blah, blah, blah. But the piece that I found most interesting, which is what I sent to you last night, was linked to a video of Prince Harry speaking in London to the audience, a bunch of patrons and supporters of a charity called Centibal. I'm probably saying that incorrectly, but Centibal is an organization that actually his mother, Princess Diana, was heavily involved in, because it focused their attention on AIDS and HIV, and drawing awareness and fundraising and support and all that good stuff. So he took that on when he became of age. So it's interesting that this is the time he chose to speak publicly for the first time, and there was no way that you could deny this or have someone else spin it, because it was him. There's video, it's his voice. I'm not going to play the audio because I don't want to get into the technicalities of that, but just to read a portion of it, he reads, the speech is as follows: "Good evening, and thank you for being here for Centibel, a charity me and Prince Cecilio, who is his co-chair, created back in 2006 to honor my mother's legacy in support of those affected by HIV and AIDS." So I stand corrected. It was following her legacy, but she had been involved with HIV and AIDS awareness. Before I begin, I must say I can only imagine what you may have heard or perhaps read over the last few weeks. So I want you to hear the truth from me as much as I can share, not as a prince or a duke, but as Harry, the same person that many of you have watched grow up over the past 35 years, but with a clearer perspective. The UK is my home and a place that I love. That will never change. I have grown up feeling support from so many of you and watched as you welcomed Meghan with open arms, as you saw me find the love and happiness that I had hoped for all of my life. Finally, the second son of Diana got hitched. Hooray! I also know you've come to know me well enough over all these years to trust that the woman I choose as my wife upholds the same values as I do. And she does. And she's the same woman I fell in love with. We both do everything we can to fly the flag and carry out our roles for this country with pride. Once Meghan and I were married, we were excited, we were hopeful, and we were here to serve. For those reasons, it brings me great sadness that it has come to this. The decision that I have made for my wife and I to step back is not one I made lightly. It was so many months of talks after so many years of challenges, and I know I haven't always gotten it right, but as far as this goes, there really was no other option. What I want to make clear is we're not walking away, and we certainly aren't walking away from you. Our hope was to continue serving the Queen, the Commonwealth, and my military associations, but without public funding. Unfortunately, that wasn't possible. I've accepted this, knowing that it doesn't change who I am or how committed I am. But I hope that it helps you understand what it had come to, that I would step my family back from all I have ever known to take a step forward into what I hope can be a more peaceful life. I was born into this life, and it is a great honor to serve my country and the Queen. When I lost my mom 23 years ago, you took me under your wing. You've looked out for me for so long, but the media is a powerful force, and my hope is one day our collective support for each other can be more powerful because this is so much bigger than just us. It has been our privilege to serve you, and we will continue to lead a life of service. It has also been a privilege to meet many of you and feel your excitement for our son Archie, who saw snow for the first time the other day and thought it was bloody brilliant. I will always have the utmost respect for my grandmother, my commander-in-chief, and I am incredibly grateful to her and the rest of my family for the support they have shown Meghan and I over the last few months. I will continue to be the same man who holds his country dear and dedicates his life to supporting the causes, charities, and military communities that are so important to me. Together, you have given me an education about living, and this role has taught me more about what is right than I could ever have imagined. We are taking a leap of faith. Thank you for giving me the courage to take this next step. So anyway, that's then he goes into the rest of his speech. What do you take away from that part that I just read?
Like the whole like the last part or the whole thing?
Well, just that whole part that I just read.
Well, before I answer that, I want to get back to what the Queen said. I want to say one thing about the Queen is that a lot of people, I think, at least from what I heard, thought when Harry and Meghan were leaving that the royal family that lives in Buckingham Palace were very, not very family, obviously they're not like an average family, very cold, very calculated. So I think it was good as a PR move on the Queen's part when she released her statement to make it very family, very, as you said, personable, almost like if your grandma was sending you a letter, practically. Yes. But to get back to what you said, I think what Harry said makes sense. If he could do all the great stuff he could do that he was doing in the royal family and keeping his name and all that without the public funding and without all the things that mostly the royal family are usually criticized for, he would have done it. So it's just one of those, it sucks it can't be this way, but here's to looking forward. And I don't blame them. It was a great speech, and he's a great...
And you heard the video, so you know how he sounded. Like it was...
Genuine.
Genuine, authentic, invested, unwavering.
Yeah, and that's
this is a done deal in his mind.
It is, and I respect that because I have no idea, especially, it's not like he's one of the Queen's, it's not, he is part of the line, straight down from his father and then his father / the Queen, but it's not like one of those princesses that nothing about. She's not anywhere close to the line. She'd never be anywhere close. But she's technically a royal. For them to leave, it would be a pain, a really big pain. I can't imagine how much it was for Harry, who is in the spotlight. He is part of the line, right? Yeah. To leave. So I give him props, and I hope it works out for them because it probably will. They're both him and Meghan, they're both obviously very courageous and outgoing people. So if anything, I'm excited to see what they do because it's almost like in some ways they've freed themselves of, a lot of barriers not burdens kind of. So they're like, the gloves are off really to see what they're going to do in the future. So I'm excited. I'm not usually excited about royal stuff, and technically this isn't royal stuff.
Well, it is, but it's about the evolving royalty,
yes,
right?
Yeah. So it's exciting. And I'm glad he addressed it to the obviously not to the media. It was at a gathering. It wasn't like a press conference. But I'm glad he addressed it in his own words because, as I said at the start, there's a lot of like news articles and words flying around about oh, they're doing this, but I heard that. It's a lot of gossip and usually fake headlines, right? So
I think that's what's really important about what he said is that, and I'm just gonna just roll through this again and just pick up a couple things that jumped out at me. The fact is that he references the fact that finally the second son of Diana got hitched. Hooray! I think that's revealing, and you. As a second son, it'd be interesting to get your perspective because I know there was always that talk back when he was born about, well, we've got the heir in Prince William and now we have the spare in Prince Harry.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that would feel like throughout your life to be known as Plan B, like the backup plan.
Yeah.
And I don't think his personality lends itself to that type of mentality.
No.
So for him, I think this is probably something that's kind of rubbed him the wrong way. Like his brother was always going to be king. His dad's going to be king. His brother's going to be king. And I know what you're saying about is being part of that line, but he's not in the line. He's beside the line, right?
Yeah, I just meant in terms of some of the other quote unquote royal people.
Yeah.
But in some ways I'd say like all younger brothers kind of have a chip on their shoulder a little bit. Whether whether they some are heavier chips than others. But for him, it's a heavy chip because, as you said, he's practically Plan B, and now he's not. He's like Plan E, right?
Well, but I think that's what he's wanted. Like we talked about that last night. About I've seen other videos of him where he has said, and what he indicates that later about this is the life I was born to.
Yeah.
William's not an enthusiastic participant in this either.
No.
There have been many conversations where he's stated that he's missed. Being involved, he flew helicopters and was active in the military.
They like that.
And that's, they're more action-oriented as opposed to be put on a pedestal. So I think for them, it's one of those situations where they're kind of like, it doesn't come naturally to them because they've believed in service and performance as opposed to posturing. So the next thing, I found that very revealing that the second son of Diana got hitched. So he feels... And I don't think he resents his mother in any way. I'm not trying to suggest that. But he knows that there is a very big legacy there under her.
Yeah, and I always liked his personality more than his brother's. But obviously
they have to be different people.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's never going to be the king, so he's allowed a little more latitude and be a little warmer than maybe William is in his role. But so then he indicates the fact that, hey guys, trust me enough to know that the person I choose is going to be a good person. So, quit slagging my wife, basically. And then, moving down into, this isn't a new thing. They've been trying to deal with this discord for quite some time and had no satisfaction. So that's why they forced their hand and put out there that they were making this statement and making this change.
It makes the change go quicker and makes the wheels start turning because it's
in the
public eye.
Within a week, we've got some resolution to this.
If they didn't reveal it to the public, I think they would still be in talks for quite some time about this if it ever went through, right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
And he says that he's not stepping away. He just wants a more peaceful life. And I think in Canada, we can't grasp what it's like. Most people can't grasp what it's like to be in the spotlight. And I think in Canada, we don't grasp the type of media scrutiny that the royal family has. And I think to a certain degree, it certainly hit a peak when Princess Diana was killed. Mm-hmm. And I say killed because it was an act of aggression that, people were following her, and it would not have happened the way it did had they not been chasing her. So I think to a certain degree, you can't appreciate what it's like to be in that fishbowl, and you're going, oh, Sarah, wah, 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 they're royalty. No one deserves to have their life put in jeopardy. They shouldn't feel threatened. And with the combination of Meghan being American, previously married, biracial, there was a lot against her going into this. Mm-hmm. And I think they felt, perhaps naively, that they could overcome it. But I think as the farther and farther we get away from Princess Diana, people forget, right, what happened and what it was like for her. Except he's never forgotten, and he's not going to lose his wife or lose his family the way he lost his mom. And I know we kind of talked about that the last time, but it's important because that's what he's saying. It hasn't been peaceful. He wants to leave a life of service. They're trying to find a compromise, and he's basically just looking to find a way to make everything work. I find when you said that you think it's going to work out, I think it's going to work out simply because the Queen has said that they're going to try this new arrangement for a year.
Yeah.
It's going to take effect in the spring. We're going to give it a year, and we're going to come back. And I love that because that's compromise.
Yes.
You know me. I'm all about compromise, right? So, hey guys, we 12 months in, how do you feel about this? And if it's like, well, this worked, but this didn't, if it's something that can be massaged or amended, do it. If it's a case of, well, that was a horrible experience and it's not working, then fix it.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Disney. And that's something I looked into because and I know I said that the other week, that bothered me, this idea of if there was a deal made. Did you read anything about what happened with that? Because I know what happened, or what reports are saying.
I didn't read the article. I haven't been spreading the news other than on here, just saying that I saw it. Not saying it's true or anything like that, but there was a video someone found of, I believe, when it was the Lion King movie came out.
The opening of the Lion King, yeah.
And you can't hear the audio very well, but someone's put subtitles over it, and you can tell that they're talking. You can hear their voices. You just can't make out what they're saying.
Yeah.
And practically in the video, Meghan's off talking to Beyonce and Jay-Z on the red carpet or something like that.
Which it would be normal in this context, completely.
Yeah.
This is not an arranged meeting.
Yeah, and then over on the side, Harry is talking to the CEO of Disney.
Yes. And
he's practically pitching, saying that, Meghan can do voice acting, Meghan can do that. He's probably selling the fact that Disney and Meghan should maybe link together. Other than that, I don't know anything about the situation, right. And I just took it as it probably is one of those things where I don't think they were thinking that far in advance. Last summer when the movie came out, So what do you know, I guess?
What I heard was that was, as always, a slice of a conversation.
Yeah.
That yes, it absolutely happened, and yes, there was a conversation, but what it was, and we know this, if you know anything about this couple, you know that they have strong connections to Africa, and Harry, anything to do with conservation, wildlife, animals, that type of thing, he feels very strongly about. So there was discussion about Disney doing some kind of documentary that would focus attention on, I think they're talking about elephants. I'm kind of drawing a blank, but I think it was elephants. Okay. But the conversation was, in talking to Harry, because he's already very invested in that continent and its people and various countries. And the conversation being participation, right? How would you get involved? So the only part that we know of is where he is saying that Meghan could do voiceover work. That doesn't mean that he also wasn't invited to do voiceover work, or that maybe the Disney contact was putting out there, we'd love to have you guys involved. And this is my big frustration about communication, is anytime you take a sliver of information and paint that as being the whole picture, you're setting yourself to look like an idiot. So, I mean, that's, I don't even have all the information, obviously, other than what was said in the video and then in supporting reporting following that, which is why when you look into it further, you find out the deal, and I'm using finger quotes, the deal that was struck was that Meghan they will both do some voiceover work. And that the money they would receive for their talents are going to go towards a foundation that supports that supports work that they do in the region that is tied into this documentary. So, yes, she signed a deal with Disney, but is it just her? Is it the both of them? Are we just trying to paint her as the villain?
Is she trying to be a Disney princess? Of course not.
No.
As soon as people were saying that, it's like, I highly doubt that.
Yeah.
So and
then her father comes out of the frickin' woodwork.
He said something about this?
Oh, well, not about the Disney thing. Just the idea that, she had to be a princess and she had everything at her feet, and now she's destroying this wonderful institution of the British monarchy. And it's like, Thomas Markle, you need to crawl back underneath the rock you were living under, because nothing you're going to say in this situation is going to be beneficial, and you're just trying to destroy your daughter, which is sick.
There's a reason why he wasn't invited to the wedding, so...
Yeah.
But no, when you try and use a little bit of paint to paint a big picture, you have a lot of blank spaces.
That's right.
Well, that is practically it for the royal talk. We're caught up.
But if we have any updates, if anything happens,
we're here.
Jump back in.
We might just turn into a royal podcast. I got to do my homework.
Corbin's got to get read up on royalty.
I'll watch The Crown. That'll be good enough.
The Crown, Screen Actors Guild was last night, and The Crown won a bunch of awards.
Oh,
yes.
There you go.
But anyway, we won't get into that. That's another awards talk. But yes, so for the last couple of minutes, we want to talk about...
facial hair.
And I want to introduce this one.
Okay.
We're watching the news one night. If you live at our house, we watch the news just about every night. And we're sitting there at dinner, watching the news, and up pops...
Justin Trudeau.
Who's sporting a post-Christmas... beard and mustache. And literally as I'm looking at it and thinking, damn, Justin's looking good, Corbin comes out with...
I said that's gross. I said it's patchy. And mom didn't get that at first because I didn't explain myself well enough. But if you look at it, it's not patchy as in there's spots where there's hair, there's spots where there's not. He's in that odd stage where it's white,
the color,
and black. It's not gray. It's one or the other. And there's spots where it's white, and then there's spots where it goes immediately black. And it looks like he's like, looks like he has a zebra print on his face a little bit. And
okay, that's a little.
It's a little
extreme.
harsh, but I just did not like it. And everyone, it just. I couldn't listen to what he was. I forget what he was saying, but I remember his face. So that's not good. And also, it ties into the royals because Prince Harry has a lovely ginger beard. So,
is that how you're tying it in?
Yes, that's how I'm tying it in. We have to find ways to weave this stuff in.
That's our segue. Harry's beard to Justin's beard.
Yes.
Well, I thought that was interesting because... And I get what you're saying about the color consistency, but you're talking to someone who started going gray at 19, and I had a patch of hair on the right side of my head that was white. So I'm not justining anybody for having... You can't control that.
Well, you can control if you have a beard or not. Obviously, you wouldn't shave your head.
Corbin goes out and gets Just for Men for Justin Trudeau.
Well, I would just say, he's been almost the whole time... I'm assuming, but the whole time when he didn't have a beard, when he was younger in his first term or whatever, when he didn't have a beard, I bet you his beard was probably all black. Because right now it's in that weird stage where it's patchy, unless it's been patchy the whole time, which I do not know. I haven't seen him with a beard before, but I'm just saying he can choose to have the beard. I don't think it looks good. If I was his advisor / stylist, I would tell him to get rid of it. You might as well show up with a Hawaiian shirt on. It looks like you're a dad on vacation.
Oh, come on now. It's filling in nicely. And that actually, this tied into some of the media reports at the time where people were saying things like, how come he's got a beard and this is terrible having a beard and what's the deal with the beard? It's like, who cares?
Yeah.
Why do we care about a beard?
I care because it was on the news and I had to look at it for a couple seconds. That's just the culture we live in, where we have to find stuff to gripe about.
See, I don't mind facial hair because I grew up with a dad with a mustache.
Yes. Well,
so for me, it's
it looked good. He wore it well.
Yeah. My husband doesn't have a mustache.
No.
Right now, you look like you need to shave.
See, this is why I'm in a closet doing a voice-only podcast. But
I should take a picture of you and post it.
Oh gosh, no. But in his defense, it's full, as you said, it's a fully rounded thing, because a lot of people don't take care of their facial hair, right? So that's what we kind of wanted to talk about quickly, was just I think things if you wear even the craziest handlebar mustache or twirly mustache stuff.
I don't like that.
I think if you take care of it and you have confidence with it, you can pull it off. Right? I just don't...
You have to have a lot of confidence.
You have to have a lot of confidence.
A handlebar mustache.
Exactly. But as an example, on the show Queer Eye on Netflix, I'm blanking on his name. He's the hairstylist.
Jonathan.
Jonathan. He has.
That's a massive mustache, though.
He has one of those. It's almost. He had a beard. He's always had like the stubble beard, a little bit longer than stubble, and then in one season he shows up with a mustache, and he not only does he take care of it. That's a good example of him taking care of it,
Yep.
but also having extreme confidence in your appearance. So I would live by that, and I've also seen other people not take care of their facial hair and not have confidence in it, and it just.
That's when your facial hair is wearing you.
Exactly. And you never want that.
Yes.
But I think...
Speaking of facial hair, sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
We should also let our listeners know that right now your facial hair is almost as long as your head hair.
Yes.
You got it buzzed right down.
I always buzz my hair down because...
Even though we're in January.
Yeah. Well, it's the Navy SEALs. I live by their code where you just, it's all in your head. Think it's warm out and it's warm. And
Is that what you're doing? And you're also wearing shorts. I must note that.
Shorts and a t-shirt, buzz cut head.
No socks.
No socks.
And I'm wearing like layered sweater, leggings,
and I'm
socks.
quite hot right now,
Are
so
you really?
warm-blooded, I guess.
Anyway, so I thought that was interesting that you had that opinion because right now beards are still in vogue. Like it's still a trend that's lasting. It's not really going anywhere.
It's not like certain hairstyles like mullets and such, where it kind of had that weird comeback a couple years ago, but it's gone now.
Well, and I know people are going to look back and say, I can't believe I had a beard that touched my chest.
Oh, well, that's
because you get them like super groomed. Like even if they're super groomed, like I'm okay with like, well, your brother has a beard.
Yes.
And I'm okay with that. Yeah. Although that was a change. I mean, you don't know Corbin's brother, but he was a very baby face, and then he threw a beard on it, and it was like, holy snap! He changed his whole
overnight. Yeah. Well, no, you can't grow a beard overnight, but it's not one of those like chia things where it grows grass overnight. But
he'll love to know we're referring to him as a chia pet.
But that's one of those things where I'm like my father, where I don't like. Obviously, right now it's not a full,
no, it's not
stubble, but it's getting there. But I don't think I'd ever want to do that. But you know what?
You also have a very compact beard. Like you don't have beard like up your cheeks. You've got beard kind of like I guess like more like a chin strap, like more
practically.
You got like a mustache and then almost like a soul patch thing going on at the bottom, and then a little bit across the bottom of your jaw. So you're not like fully bearded, dude.
No.
You're not like lumberjack, dude.
No, I don't think I like that, but.
But I'm just saying that's
still time to go.
Yeah, you don't right now. That it's just stubbly in those areas. So there you go. That's your hard hitting, can't miss podcast entertainment value for your hard earned dollar, where we discuss the in and outs of men's grooming.
Exactly. You got it. You have to enjoy it. Like you gotta love it.
So we kind of did like the heavy stuff at the beginning.
Exactly.
The current news topics, and then we lightened it up.
And then we did the furry stuff at the end.
The furry stuff at the end.
And speaking of ends. we never know what we're going to be talking about in these podcasts. Well, we like to think that we have a structural idea before we head into them.
We don't quite come in with no plan.
Exactly. But, things like the change or I'm blanking on some of the other topics and stuff that are maybe a little heavier that we've talked about in the past and obviously going to go into the future. They could be a little sad or, not end off on a great note. And we love positivity here in this closet.
And we're trying to spray. It's a little positive closet.
Yeah.
How can closet positivity? I don't know.
A positivity pocket in here.
Pocket of positivity.
A pocket of positivity. So,
it's a feature. It's our first feature.
It's our first feature, and we're going to try and continue it at least maybe like a little bit. It's a short little bit at the end of maybe every podcast or maybe select podcasts where we talk about something from the past week or so, depending on how long it's been since our podcast, our last podcast, that made us feel good and that we are kind of recommending to you guys to check out or enjoy.
To make your day feel a little better.
Exactly.
What are we going to call it, Corb?
It is called the high note because
we're ending on a
high note. Not because I can hit a high note. I could try. It might shut down the microphone. Yeah. But so to start off, the first segment of the High Note, what was something that you thought you should share with everyone?
Well, I actually, to give a little background, we do research for this stuff. We're not just winging it.
Well, Mom does most of the time. As I said, I'm a quote-unquote non-professional expert on the royal family now.
A non-expert expert.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I did is I thought I'm going to find something online and it'll give me a constant source of positive news. Do you know how hard it is to find positive news on social media?
You have to go far.
Well, it took me a bit of time. So anyway, we'll give a shout out to this website. It's called goodnewsnetwork.org. I was really excited to come across it. And the one I want to share for the High Note today it ties into our environmental podcast we did a couple weeks back.
Okay.
Which is China is now phasing out single-use plastics as early as this year.
Wow.
And that is dated today. So high five, China.
Very good.
Woo-hoo! I thought that was pretty exciting because China uses a ton of plastic.
High population there.
Yeah. So they're saying that plastic straws are going to be phased out in major cities by the end of the year. The restaurant industry will be required to reduce single-use plastic consumption by 30% in towns and smaller cities before 2025. So if you want to check out that, it is thegoodnewsnetwork.org, and the headline is China is now phasing out single-use plastics as early as this year, ending our podcast on a high note.
Very good.
Yeah, and you got to do something fancy. We got to have some music.
Exactly.
I'll introduce. Put it in here so that we know.
Yes, and then it'll be at the start of the High Note most of the time. So
yes.
Play it, Future Corbin. Play the music for the High Note.
Oh, that's good. I like
very
that.
Nice. A little jingle.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you. Well, I shouldn't take credit for Future Corbin's work, but good job, Future Corbin.
Okay, well, before we sign off,
yes.
If you have any feedback, and perhaps you have an opinion on facial hair
or plastic straws,
let us know at chatspodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you, or give us some feedback on our Facebook page. And we're so excited to have all of our platforms up and running, and we might have some new platforms coming. So keep an eye out for us.
That's about it, I think. So thank you for listening, and this has been
Sarah.
And this has been Corbin. Thank you guys for listening, and stay tuned for our latest chats.